we've joked in the past setting a line of over or under a half horse going on to the Kentucky Derby. You could tell me that like 7 of these end up in the Derby. I don't think there will be 7 because some obviously will be eliminated on Saturday, but you could legitimately tell me 7 of these horses could end up in the Kentucky Derby if everything plays out for them moving forward. Going to be fascinating to see where favoritism lands. I'm guessing it's Napoleon Solo, the number 7, but Chief Wallabee is going to be heavily backed. The number 6, Jackson Hole. The 1 hole for Todd Pletcher is going to be a horse that's going to take some money. I'm interested in a couple others as well. But we will kick it off with you here. Who is your top pick in the Fountain of Youth from Gulfstream Park on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll echo what you said first. I totally agree. There's not going to be 7, but it does feel like there are 7 legitimate, hey, as we sit here and record this in late February, they're legitimate candidates, right? It's also funny, like when I do the previews for Racing Dudes, you get comments, obviously, and a lot of times it's people are usually on 1 or 2 different horses. They're on it's so spread out here. And so I think the money will be spread out. It didn't take me long to handicap this race. It took me a long time to decide who to pick on top in this race because you're just back and forth through so many of these. And you almost feel like when you pick one, finally, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving this one off and this one. So I'll quit delaying. I would put number 7, Napoleon Solo on top in this spot. A couple of reasons. I went back and watched the Champagne several times and man, I'm just really impressed. Good. It's so good. And I just feel like you look at the workout pattern, it feels like he's on his game. It feels like he is ready to run. I also think he's going to stretch out and be better going longer. The pedigree says so. He's by Liam's map out of a Scat Daddy mare. That doesn't exactly say 1 turn mile and 6 furlongs, which is the 2 races he won. That kind of says 1.25 miles, at least 2 turns. I think he's going to run big. I think he's the speed of the speed. There, you mentioned it on the last segment. There is a lot of speed in all these races, really. I think he's faster than everybody. I think he takes him gate to wire. I think he's going to pop the gate because he hasn't ran in a while, and I think he's going to get ahead of some of this other speed. I like number 7, Napoleon Solo on top.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Who gets, I agree with you. I think Napoleon Solo gets the lead. I think the big question mark is, how fast do they go, right? And is it a comfortable lead for Napoleon Solo, or is this one where he is going to be pressed? I mean, you look at that Champagne, he went 22-2, 44-1. That is blisteringly fast, and was able to keep it going, 107-4, and then out in 134-2. A very good mile time there over that Belmont at the Big A, the Aqueduct track. There is a lot of other speed. No one else is sitting with a 142 early time form rating, which is elite. Like, you don't see 142s ever, if like not even very often, but ever. And he's gone 22 and change both of his previous 2 starts. But you look through here and you've got horses like Commandment, who is fast early, but probably going to sit behind it. But a horse like Talkin, who is another 100-plus time form rating. You look at the inside, Jackson Hole went gate to wire in his last start. Rockies Balboa, gate to wire, breaking the maiden at 6.5 furlongs, on the pace at 7 furlongs. You got to think there's going to be pressure. And so the big question for me is, how much pressure is there? Because it's the early inside horses, I think, are the biggest threat to Napoleon Solo from being able to get in the front. Can Napoleon Solo clear before that first turn and clear easily? If so, all of a sudden Napoleon Solo, I think, is incredibly dangerous on the front end if that happens. I mentioned the short stretch here. That's advantageous towards speed horses as well. I mean, you know who I'm picking. I have to pick the number 6, Chief Wallabee. I love this horse. I went back and watched the replays of the Champagne. I went back and watched the replay of the 2 Jackson Hole wins, who we'll talk about here in a second. I went back and watched Commandment's replay win, and then I watched Chief Wallabee, and I still can't get over the move that Chief Wallabee made around the far turn as a first-time starter. Do I love the Bill Mott comments this week? No, not a lot, because he's like, look, we would love to run an allowance. We would love to not press the pedal to the gas, or the gas to whatever, the pedal to the metal and hit the gas, and put this horse in at this level immediately, doing all of these new things, up in competition, 2 turns for the first time. All of this added problems. But man, that was so good. Like that maiden special weight win, still in my mind the best maiden special weight win we've seen from anybody in this 3-year-old class. The fact that the Puma came back, I thought ran well in the Sam F. Davis, is clearly a contender in the Kentucky Derby, and to dust the Puma the way that this horse did without ever being asked, doing it all himself, and then the setup. There is speed in here. Chief Wallabee's not slow. This isn't a horse like Sovereignty that's going to be way back. Should be middle of the pack. If that kick is there, man, I think Chief Wallabee is still one of the legitimate Kentucky Derby contenders to win the race, not make the race, win the race. And I realize it might be a little too much too soon. And that's my biggest concern here with Chief Wallabee. But I believe in the talent, and I'm not going to stop standing for a horse that I've clearly been all in on since that first race, just because we were jumping up a little too fast in my mind.
I think you laid it out perfectly. I'll address the Bill Mott comments because, look, I think if we've learned anything over the years with him, he's brutally honest. You know, like last year before the Belmont, he was like, boy, if there was a horse that could win the Triple Crown, it'd be this one. Like, that's all he really knows is just to be honest. And I think he's just being honest with the media. He's like, I don't like to do this. This is not what I like to do. I like to run an allowance after a maiden, but I think he basically told you, look, I had some other ideas, but I didn't have a race for this horse to run in. He's ready to run. We're going to give it a shot. I don't really think, yes, they're negative comments, but it's just him telling the truth. It's just him telling you, look, hey, it's really tough for a horse like him to jump in here against experienced horses and win. But hey, he's ready to run and he's really good. So let's do it. Right. And so I think if he's good enough, he wins. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations where like, yeah, he just wasn't ready. He's ready to run. It's just a matter of, hey, it's very tough for a maiden to jump in this late in the game and do it. But I'm with you. I've got him in second. I think he's a fantastic horse. He's another one. You go back and look at that replay and you're like, that's so good. That is so good. But Mike, you go back and look at the 4 Commandment, who beat nothing in the Mucho Macho Man, but just single him out. Forget about who's behind him. Just watch him run. And you go, that's so good. That's really good. I think the big difference when I started to look at past Napoleon Solo was like, I know the Puma is at least decent. We still, hey, on the fence, is he a great horse or even good, but he's decent. We know that. He zoomed by the Puma like he was standing still. So that's why I've got Wallabee, Chief Wallabee, a little bit ahead of Commandment in the spot. But you go back and look at Commandment, there's nothing wrong with how he ran. And look, if it does speed up, and I am very worried about the number 10 Solitude Dude bothering Napoleon Solo as well. He's way on the outside, but if he catches a flyer out of the gate, all of a sudden he could press him right there as well. He's a sprinter. I don't think he's going to go long, so I don't think he's a threat to really win, but he could make it fast too. And the 4 Commandment and the 6 Chief Wallabee are going to get the setup if that happens.
Yeah, Commandment's an interesting one. You're right, didn't beat anything in the Mucho Macho Man. The time also wasn't very good, but you could make an argument that horse was kind of geared down for that last half mile, so the time is going to be affected by that. The buyer came back well, 91, second off the layoff for Brad Cox. I.Ortiz rides. A bunch of things to like about Commandment, and to your point, also, gonna get the trip here, much like Chief Wallabee, where he's going to be set up to be able to sit in mid-pack and be able to make the move. Has a little bit more seasoning than Chief Wallabee. All of those positives. Price is going to be so interesting in this race. Do you agree with me, Napoleon Solo, probably your favorite?
Yeah, I think it's something like 2-1, 5-2 between him and Chief Wallabee. You got Commandment too. He's going to play part. I think the 4, 6, 7 are going to be the 3 top choices, but I would say Napoleon Solo will be the favorite, but I don't think it'll be a heavy favorite.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a decent price if you like any of the 3 of them. The favorite's probably 2-1, somewhere in there, maybe 5-2, as you said, and you'll probably get sub 7-2 on all 3 of those, and then you'll see the prices start to move out a little bit more. Commandment was one I looked at for a long time. I'm not sure on Commandment because of who he beat last time in that time. 138-1 for a mile. It's not great. And Chief Wallabee went 7 furlongs and 123-1, including a 12-second final furlong there, where we saw 26 out of the final quarter of a mile there from Commandment. So the time to me is the real one bugaboo with Commandment there. Although again, the buyer does fit with the rest of these. I do want to make sure we talk about quite a few in this. So we're going to keep it moving here. The number 1 Jackson Hole for Todd Pletcher went gate to wire last time at Fairgrounds. He kind of did that because he was the best horse. I don't think that's necessarily his style. We saw in the maiden breaking score going 7 furlongs here at Gulfstream Park, the horse come from off the pace. Wasn't a huge like a very productive maiden special weight race that was run on December 13th, so a little while ago, then comes back, wins that allowance. What do you make of Jackson Hole breaking from the one, and what is the trip that you expect from this horse?
He really fooled me because I didn't like his maiden at all. But his improvement from race 1 to race 2 was pretty significant. One of the things with his maiden, he just kind of seemed really green. He didn't really know what to do. He was kind of weaving, bobbing and weaving when he didn't have to, a little bit down the lane, like you talked about with Sandman last year when he was doing that. His second race, he was straight as a string. You know, he ships the fairgrounds and he goes 2 turns and he was perfect. So I think trip is going to be a big problem for him. And I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be near. I mean, he may be near the lead, but I don't think he's going to be on it. I think he's going to stalk, but man, he's going to get an inside trip with dirt kicked in his face. He's going to get pinned on the rail. I wouldn't want to be inside like that. If I was him, I'd want to be more towards the middle. But look, I thought his second race was solid. It puts him right in the mix. I'm not going to use him here. And look, we talked, you got to make some decisions and throw out some horses that overall you might like, but you can't play them all here. I didn't use him here. I don't think the trip projects to be all that well. The allowance he won, he did look really good, but boy, there was nothing in that race. And so that kind of has me a little worried. He also just fell on the lead. Like you said, he didn't really have to work to get it. So I'm a little skeptical of him in this spot.
Yeah, it's interesting because the inside post, I think, is an important one to reference there because that maiden breaking score broke from the 7 of 7, was kind of out in the clear and then able to just kind of swoop the field on the outside, was green as all get up, but was able to figure that out in the second race. However, the second race was in the one post and just went to the front and went gate to wire on a day where speed was very good. Now you have to try and combine the two where you're like, hey, you're going to catch kickback on the first turn. You're probably not going to get the lead. You're probably going to get cleared by 2 outside horses. You may get cleared by the 2 as well. So you're then like the third on the inside. Like that makes it a lot more difficult. And then all of a sudden, there's a lot of things to overcome that Jackson Hole hasn't had to deal with yet for a horse that I do think is talented, but I'm not sure is as talented as some of the other horses in the field. It's just a lot of things up against that specific horse in my mind. That's another one that I like you, will be leaving off to try and take some shots in a couple other places. The number 3, Talkin. Danny Gargan, J.Rosario gets the mount here after Carmouche has ridden this horse 3 times, including running second to Napoleon Solo in the Grade 1 Champagne, coming back in the Remsen, and was just kind of disappointing in that race. However, broke from the 11 post, was always wide. I think it was like 4 wide in the first turn, 3-4 wide in the second turn. There are excuses that are kind of built into that trip. Now, first off the layoff for Gargan, another horse where like, is it kind of in that Commandment Chief Wallabee boat with me? Like if the setup is right for this horse to come from off the pace, and Joel is going to take this horse back more than Carmouche did just because of their general jockey styles, I wouldn't be shocked if this is one that is absolutely rolling late. Not sure if Talkin's good enough to win, but I think at least has to be discussed in that trifecta, superfecta range if the trip allows it.
I agree with you. I think this is kind of your 20 to 1 hit the board horse if you want to try to use one. I think a lot of people look at the race last time out and just like, oh, he's no good. I don't look at it that way. I thought his second race was pretty good. I know he got beat by 6.5 by Napoleon Dynamite, Napoleon Solo. I knew I would do that once today. My favorite movie, right? But I do think the race that the Champagne was. You go back and you just focus on him. It's like he made up some decent ground. Like he came running. And so I kind of think there's more to him. I think I'm with you. Like, I think your strategy in this one is just take him back, keep him away from those horses, kind of almost ride him like, you can't win, but you need to get a piece. And, that happens a lot. And that's why you get sometimes those horses come from out of it to get third or fourth. And you go, man, I never would have thought of him. He has that look. And look, his race 2 back, he was in 7th early. And to me, that was his best race. So put him in 7th out of 11 here and see what he does. And you're right. He has the right jockey to do it. We're not going to press anything. We do know that. He won't move his hands a bit when he leaves the gate. He's going right towards the back.
Yeah, and one of those horses where like the maiden breaking score was 7 furlongs at Saratoga. Further Ado was in that race. That was a very, very good maiden breaking score. And then you look at that Champagne, and we've got Napoleon Solo here, who did beat him by open lengths in that race. However, Napoleon Solo went gate to wire, And Talkin had to try and make up all of this ground and was able to make up some, but just not get to Napoleon Solo. You're going to have a very different setup early here where you're going to see Napoleon Solo get pressed more. I, if this weren't a mile and a 16th, if this was the mile and an eighth distance for the Florida Derby, I think I'd be a little more interested in Talkin. I think that the short stretch here could prove a hindrance to him being able to get up to win. But I do think underneath is at least a little bit interesting there. The number 5 Bravaro is going to stay here instead of go to Oaklawn Park. I think that's a mistake. I don't like Bravaro's chances in this spot after running second to Nearly last time. Did win 2 state-bred races up in New York for the first 2 starts, but did run second to Nearly in the Holy Bull last time. Any interest in Bravaro?
Not a ton. I do think he is kind of like Talkin. I think in this race, they're going to take him back. I just think the biggest difference is he's probably going to be like 6-1, where Talkin might be 15 or 20. But I think it's the same kind of thing. I don't think Bravaro's going to get involved with anything going on early in the race. I know he was just a little bit off the pace last time out. I just don't think that's going to happen again. I think they're going to take him back a little bit further and try to make a little bit of a run, maybe mid-pack. So I'm kind of with you. I think he'll be overbet here after finishing second in the Holy Bull. If you get double digits, maybe he's worth again playing in that 3rd or 4th spot. But if he's 6, 7, 8-1, like I kind of think he's going to be, I have a hard time playing him in this spot.
You mentioned Solitude Dude, the 10 horse, coming off a win in the Swale, an impressive win in the Swale. This horse is undefeated, 3 for 3 lifetime, winning by open lengths, 9, 8, and 3 1/4 in those 3 victories. Has been a speedball, first call every single time except for once, and that was in the inaugural stakes at Tampa Bay Downs over 6 furlongs, where this horse was in second, and that did not last very long in a 21 and 3 opening quarter. Feel like Flavien Prat decides to ride for Saffie, which I think is awfully interesting as he flies down to take this mount. It feels like a horse you got to know early. I'm not sure you're going to know him late. And to your point, I think is really the main pace threat here to Napoleon Solo as well.
Yeah, he's the one that if he wins, I'm going to be really upset because I mean, look, we've talked about this horse on shows in the past. He is very good. Like, I think he's a super good sprinter. Pat Day Mile going 1 mile, 1 turn mile there at Churchill Downs. This is the horse, right? But I really am fearful of a mile and a 16th. I will say this though, if he's going to go 2 turns, it is going to be a mile and 16th. Almost for him, you hope he doesn't win because he does not really need to be on the Derby trail. But Mike, he's really good. And I don't project this, but let's just say that Napoleon Solo has some trouble. It maybe, we don't see the pace materialize. If he gets comfortable, Solitude Dude on the front end, he will be a little scary. I'm with you though. I'm afraid what's going to happen is he's going to get burned up pretty quick. He may even get the lead and then just kind of fade. I think he's a really nice horse. I'm not sure the Fountain of Youth is a great spot for him.
It's funny. I thought the exact same thing. The best thing for Solitude Dude is to run like 8th here. To show speed, get burned up, run in the back of the pack, maybe end up in the Pat Day Mile, end up sprinting in the second half of the season. This is just a horse that I think is going to be better around 1 turn. Yalpan been a phenomenal sire, into mischief on the bottom. So like there is a hint that maybe we can get the distance, but it really feels like this is going to be a better sprinter long term. Right to his inside, Global Aviator, a horse that went off at around 13-1 in the Holy Bull and was kind of close to the pace, got a little bit of trouble early, couldn't really make a move, ends up running 5th or 6th there. Another horse I think could benefit from the pace here if Global Aviator does go to the back. Any interest in the 9 Global Aviator here?
No, I didn't have much in him. That was a hard one for me to get to. I kind of liked the maiden. I went back and watched the maiden again when he won, and I thought that's a decent race. Not sure how good that race really was behind him, though, and he just only won a neck, but he had to make up a lot of ground. He really showed a little bit of flash. I wish we would have seen a little bit more for him. Now, can he run better in this race? Yeah, but he's one I just had to toss.
Yeah, second off the layoff, I think he does run better. Does that mean he's able to hit the board? I don't know. Like it's another one where maybe it's the last spot of a superfecta. If you're going to the super high 5, you pay attention to him because it could be a big price that's able to get that 4th or 5th spot, but going to be tough to be able to compete at the top. We talked about pretty much everybody here. Anyone else that you do want to throw out there or mention?
No, you're right. We did talk about them all. I think we've highlighted the main contenders. If a horse like Lost Money wins this race as a maiden, it would be an absolute shock. So I don't think we need to cover him. It's about the only one we haven't mentioned. Bull by the Horns, I guess that would be a shock as well. So it's an elite race. I think we've talked about the elite horses.
Yeah, if Lost Money wins, it will define what will happen to me because I would have lost money. Not going to be playing that one. Race number 14 on Saturday from Gulfstream Park, the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth, mile and 16th on the dirt. Number 6, Chief Wallabee. Come on, buddy. Be good for me. Number 7, Napoleon Solo for Aaron in one of the races I'm more excited about. This might be the most excited I am for a single horse race so far in 2026. I cannot wait for this race here on Saturday. Going to be a phenomenal ending to what is a very good card over at Gulfstream Park.